Yes. First, I want to respect teachers and hello to everybody that have watched my slide presentation. My name is Sreng Gechni. Today, I'm going to present for my final exam in chapter 7, listening effectively. Yeah. The next for my present today, I talk about listening effectively, and my content that I'm going to present today. The first part is challenges to effective listening, and second is the active listening process. The third digital listening skill. The last one is conclusion. And before we go to the next slide, I want all of you to know that listening is the process from your receiving contrasting meaning from a responding to spoken nonverbal message. Yes, for the basic communication skill, it have reading, writing, speaking, and listening. So we use listening is the more for the presentation. Yes, and if you are poor listener, the personality may be very different from the other and trying to have this for the presentation trying to have us to understand and clearly about the listening effectively. Yes, for the first part of my content is related to effective listening, to be effective listening. For this, there are three primary challenges to our listening effectiveness that we should be practiced. Yeah, the first one is personal of listening style. For the personal of listening style, it has a relational listening style, analytical listening style, transitional listening style, and critical listening style. For the relational listening style, it means that when you're listening a message, yeah, when you listen a message, we tend to focus um, what on what the message tell us, just tell us about our conversation and our conversation partner feeling. Yes, and the analytical listening style it means that we listen together information, yes, and tend to think carefully about what we hear from. Yes, and transitional listening style involve wanting speaker to remain take and got the main point of the conversation. Yes, after listening, because this is not listening. That's like the speaker who take a long express. Yes, because express the idea. For the last part, a critical listening style. For the critical listening style, it means that focus a lot for our attention. Yes, and be good for just be thinking before thinking a lot of our conversation. Yes, and the next is listening apprehension. For the listening apprehension, it is can challenge, yes, of challenges for effective listening that talk about we feel about the listening interference, yes, with our ability to be a effective listener. Yeah, and the next is the process in listening. For the do process in listening, we have two process in our listening: have passive listening and active listening. For the passive listening is uh unhappy to process for receiving message from what we hear. Yes, this is the passive listening. And the active listening a fundamental communication skill that requires mindfulness or to practice. Yes, and for the actual listening process, we have yes, we have 5 steps for active listening process. That the first step is attending. For the attending listening is the process that yours as like sound that you are being to hear. Yes, and to get clear the information that you want to hear. Yes, this is the attending. For the understanding is mean that you uh you actually decoding a mistake so that you say the meaning with the speaker. Yeah, this is the understanding. For the remembering, it means the process of moving information from the sub memory to the long memory. And the critical evaluating, it means that the process of interpreting, yeah, the process of interpreting what you have understand, determine how truthful associate for uh, believable. You check the meaning of the message from what you being here. Yes, for the responding, is the process of reading to what has been here while listening after you listening. Yes. And after that, it is for what we improve our process. Yes. For we improve our process, to improve attending has three like get physically and mentally ready to attend. It means that you prepare yourself for or to be to pay attention. That easy for us to pay attention for someone saying when you are have uh, eliminate possible source of distraction. The second is make the shift from the speaker to listener complete once. It means that you call on quickly we take a speak back and forth from being a speaker to be the listener. Yes, and the third is stay turned in. It means that you knowing what a person is going to say clearly, and it is yes, clearly when some because it is even when you yes, when you falling to attempt make us miss something important from the presentation. The next is to improve understanding. Have first step that the first one identify the speaker purpose and key point. It means that to focus on the key point of the presenter to understanding the meaning of the message. Yeah, the next is interpreted nonverbal cues. It means that to understand what the speaker means, that you need to understand, not only say verbally. Yeah, and then third is a clarifying question. That means you ask the question that do ask the question that you receive from the information. Yes, from somewhere. Yes. And the next is paraphrase what you hear. It means that you must paraphrase is an attempt with our own words, just to understand and easy to know about what we are, what uh what the present will be continue with this test. And the next is want us to improve remembering, that have repeat what was said. It means that after we just after we listen to another person or what something was important, you must repeat what was said to, so it is easy repeat again and again, so it is easy for us to remember. The second is create mnemonic. It means that a device is learning teaches that associate a special word or short system with a new and longer information. Then third is take note. We must to take note in a notebook, yes, in a notebook to make sure that we must be forgot. So you can open it for remember it again. Yes. The next is to improve critical evaluation. For the improve our critical evaluation has separate facts from inference. It means that require us to distinguish, yes, between the verifiable observation and an opinion related to observation. Yeah, the second is prop information. For the prop information, it means that we can ask a question that search from information are trying to resolve or we can say pursue in consecutive the missing. Yes, and the next is to improve responding. For improve responding, it has provide back to next use. It means that are useful to approve when they provide feedback. Yes, and reply on when the mistake is complete. And the last one is respond to the previous mistake before changing the subject. Yes, it is important to identify the partner mistake before you changing the subject. Yes, the next is talk about the digital listening skill. For the digital listening skill, it means that improve our listening from the social media, just like face to face with the conversation like this. So in this digital listening skill, we have two steps for using that. For the first step is attending and understanding the digital message. That's attending to digital message become more complicated when they are compared with offline message and with other. It means that communication with technology when we pay attention, yes, and when we ignore some of the likely outside our control, like our email provide mails, set spam filter, Facebook choose what is thing we like the most to see, and our smartphone they are who is calling, texting before we answer. Yes, the next is critical evaluating digital mistakes. Since information is so easy to share online, sometimes false information is intentionally shared, post and retweet without my consider. Unfortunately, some people intentionally share misinformation. It means that must be the true information. So, before you say, you must seeking it is a true information or false information that make people that, so make sure that you don't share the information that become misinformation and untrue information. And the last part is talk about conclusion of my presentation. That for my conclusion our presentation today, we all know that like previously I said, we have primarily to improve our listening. Yes, that our personal listening with to yet to communication, our ability and process to of our listening with passive or active listening. And the process of listening has so a step by step to improve our listening in the easy way for us to understand, too easily to understand and know about it. And in this chapter, I tell for the way that we study to listen by internet, TV, professor with chat, or YouTube, or communication with other people by mistake or something else like this. Yes, in social media. After we know about it, we can respond for the answer that the speaker has been asking you, just for you complete to make sure that you know their meaning is it to take note with your skill and improve your listening to be easy to understand and remember what remember for the key point that their presentation. For my presentation today, that's all. Thank you for teacher for your paying attention, and thank you for all you that are paying for my presentation today. Yes, and sorry, please forgive me for my mistake. I have a lot of mistakes. So if you have any comment and any question, please ask me by private message, by Telegram or Google. Yeah, thank you for your paying attention.